You are currently standing in front of your bathroom mirror, applying a thick white cream. It is SPF 50, and it smells like a tropical vacation you cannot afford today. You do this because the giant fireball in the sky might cause a terrible mutation. We spend billions every year trying to fight back against the harsh and bright sunlight. But imagine a time when you had no plastic bottle of protective and oily lotion. Imagine your only defense against the sun was the very physical surface of your body. You were walking across a vast open landscape with absolutely nowhere to hide safely away. Subscribe to Ancient Logic if you want to understand why your body is a masterpiece. Why did our ancestors transition from deep obsidian tones to the palest of ivory shades? The answer is the reason you feel so incredibly sluggish and tired during the winter. Long ago, in the intense heat of the equator, skin was a vital survival tool. The sun was not just a source of warmth, but a powerful and destructive force. High levels of ultraviolet radiation would regularly blast the skin of every single living human. This radiation had the power to destroy a very precious nutrient called folate, or B9. Folate is essential for making healthy babies and keeping the human race moving forward always. Without enough folate, the next generation would face many severe and life-threatening birth defects today. Ancient humans needed a permanent shield to keep their internal chemistry safe from the light. This shield was melanin, a natural pigment that acts like an internal layer of sunblock. Melanin absorbed the dangerous rays and kept the folate levels high within the human blood. This is why you feel the instinct to protect your children from the burning sun. For nearly 2 million years, our ancestors stayed in this protective and dark-skinned state daily. But then a small group of brave travelers decided to leave their warm ancestral home. They moved away from the equator and headed toward the colder and darker northern lands. As they traveled further north, the sun began to lose its intense and burning power. The ultraviolet rays became weak, and the days became much shorter during the cold winters. Suddenly, the very shield that protected them in Africa became a massive and dangerous liability. Dark skin was so good at blocking light that it blocked out the good rays. Your body needs a specific type of light to create vitamin D for your bones. Without vitamin D, your bones become soft and weak and your immune system starts failing. This is why you feel the desperate need to go outside on a sunny day. In the dark north, those with the darkest skin could not make enough vitamin D. They suffered from rickets and their children were not strong enough to survive the cold. Nature began to favor those with slightly less pigment in their outer layers of skin. Over many generations, the skin of these northern travelers began to lighten quite significantly now. This was a desperate survival trade-off between protecting folate and creating enough vital vitamin D. Our ancestors were essentially walking laboratories adjusting their chemistry to match the local light levels. This change happened multiple times in different parts of the world, quite independently of others. Ancient humans in East Asia and Europe both lost their pigment to survive the north. They used different genetic paths to reach the same functional result of lighter skin tones. It is a perfect example of how the environment shapes the very essence of humanity. Let us look at a specific person who lived 10,000 years ago in Britain. Scientists call him Cheddar Man, and his DNA tells a very surprising and modern story. He had very dark skin and curly hair, but his eyes were a piercing blue. This proves that ancient Europeans did not look like the people living there right now. Light skin was not the original state for those living in the cold European forests. For thousands of years, these dark-skinned ancestors hunted and gathered in the northern woods daily. They survived because their diet was rich in fish and wild meat containing vitamin D. They did not need light skin yet because their food provided what the sun could. This is why you feel so much better after eating a healthy and fatty meal. But everything changed when our ancestors stopped hunting and started the hard life of farming. Farmers ate mostly grains, which have almost no vitamin D to offer the human body. Suddenly, the pressure to absorb light from the sun became much more intense and urgent. The skin had to lighten even more to make up for the lack of meat. Those who could not adapt to this new diet faced very serious health problems indeed. This is why you might feel extra tired if you do not eat enough protein. Around 5,000 years ago, new groups of people moved into the European continent rapidly. These were the Yamnaya people from the vast and grassy steppes of modern-day Russia today. They brought new genes for light skin and light eyes into the local human population. Their arrival finally cemented the appearance we now associate with the modern Northern European people. Skin color is not a permanent trait, but a shifting response to the local environment. It is a beautiful map of where your ancestors have been over the long centuries. If your family stayed near the equator, you kept your protective and dark-toned melanin shield. If your family moved to the poles, you traded that shield for the sun's power. We are all just trying to balance the chemistry of our blood with the sky. Think about the gene called MC1R, which acts as a master switch for your pigment. This gene decides whether you produce dark melanin or the lighter and reddish-yellow variety instead. Another gene named SLC24A5 is responsible for 1/3 of the lightening in Europe. A single tiny mutation in this gene changed the history of how our ancestors looked. This mutation likely started in the Middle East before spreading out to the distant West. It is incredible how one small change can have such a massive impact on us. We also have the HERC2 gene, which gives us the gift of bright blue eyes. Interestingly, blue eyes appeared in Europe long before the skin became truly light and pale. Our ancestors were a mosaic of different traits that shifted as they moved across lands. There was never one single moment when humans suddenly became white or became dark instead. It was a slow and steady process driven by the need to stay alive daily. Every time you look in the mirror, you are seeing the result of survival struggles. Your skin tone is a direct message from your ancestors about the light they saw. This is why we feel a deep connection to the places our families once lived. When you travel to a new climate, your body is still trying to adapt correctly. This is why you get a tan when you spend time in the summer sun. Your body is desperately trying to rebuild the shield that your ancestors once relied upon. It is a ghost of a survival strategy that kept our ancient tribes alive long ago. We often think of skin color as something that divides us into different social groups, but science shows us that it is actually something that connects us to the earth. It is a biological response to the distance between us and the powerful golden equator. We are all the same people, just wearing different coats for different types of weather. Ancient humans did not care about the shade of their skin like we do today. They only cared about whether their children were healthy and their bones were strong enough. They cared about having enough energy to hunt and gather and build their warm fires. They were brilliant scientists who understood their environment through the medium of their own bodies. When they moved to a new place, their bodies followed the rules of the land. If the land was dark, their skin became light to catch the fleeting and weak rays. If the land was bright, their skin became dark to protect the blood within them. This is why you feel a sense of awe when you watch a beautiful sunset. Your eyes and your skin are both tuned to the light of our ancient world. We are not malfunctioning in the modern world. We are just remembering our past lives. Your winter blues are just your body asking for the vitamin D it once needed. Your summer burns are just your body missing the melanin shield it once wore proudly. We carry the history of the entire world in the very cells of our faces. Ancient logic tells us that every trait we have is a gift from a survivor. Someone in your past survived a brutal winter because their skin was light enough then. Someone in your past survived a scorching desert because their skin was dark enough then. You are the end result of millions of successful and difficult survival decisions made daily. Your body is not a mistake or a flaw, but a perfectly tuned survival machine now. We should look at our differences with respect and a sense of deep ancient wonder. Every freckle and every shade is a record of a sun that rose long ago. Our ancestors did not have the internet or planes, but they traveled the whole world. They walked across continents and crossed frozen oceans to find a better life for us. They changed their very appearance just to make sure we could be here right now. This is the real story of humanity, and it is much more complex than expected. We are a single family that has spent a lot of time in different climates. Some of us stayed in the sun and some of us moved to the shade, but we all share the same drive to survive and thrive in our local homes. Next time you put on sunscreen, remember that you are doing what nature once did. You are manually providing the protection that ancient humans developed over many long generations. You are helping your body handle an environment it was not originally designed to inhabit. It is a small act of modern survival that connects you to the distant past. We are all just trying to find the right balance between the light and dark. Your skin is the most visible part of your history, but it is only skin. Underneath the pigment, we all have the same red blood and the same white bones. We all have the same need for folate and the same need for vitamin D. We all have the same ancient logic running through our modern and busy brains today. This is the beauty of our species and the miracle of our shared human journey. We have survived the ice ages and the heat waves by changing our very selves. We are the most adaptable creatures to ever walk upon the surface of this earth, and that is something to be incredibly proud of as you go about your day. Your ancestors were heroes who mastered the art of living under the vast, bright sun. They passed that mastery down to you in every single cell of your living body. You are a walking testament to the power of survival and the beauty of change. Don't ever forget that you come from a long line of incredibly tough and smart survivors. They saw the world change, and they changed with it to keep the fire going. They moved from the trees to the plains and from the plains to the mountains, and every step of the way their skin was watching and listening to the light. It was adjusting the levels of melanin and preparing for the challenges of the future. You are the future that they were preparing for so many thousands of years ago. Your life is the prize they won in the lottery of ancient and brutal survival. So take care of the skin you are in because it worked hard to be here. It is your oldest friend and your most loyal protector in this very bright world. It has been through more than you can possibly imagine in your wildest of dreams. It has seen the rise and fall of civilizations and the birth of new worlds. It has felt the cold wind of the tundra and the heat of the savanna, and it is still here today helping you navigate the complexities of your modern life. That is the true power of ancient logic and the secret of our human success. We are a work in progress, and we are still adapting to the modern world. Our technology might change fast, but our bodies still follow the old and wise ways. We are still the same travelers who left Africa all those many thousands of years. We are just dressed a little differently and living in much taller and warmer buildings. But the sun is still the same and the light is still just as powerful. And your skin is still doing its best to keep your internal chemistry perfectly balanced. Respect your heritage and respect the skin of every person you meet on your path. We are all survivors of the same great journey through the history of our world. You are not malfunctioning. You are just remembering the light of a very different time. Subscribe to ancient logic because your past is the key to understanding your present life. Hit the bell icon to never miss another deep dive into the secrets of humanity.